In this video, I'm going to talk about the pilots because with all these years of flying, 35 years of flying, I have a lot of stories to tell regarding the pilots, the cabin crew, the stewardesses, and passengers, and so many other stories. I've even I've published a book called Fasten Your Seatbelt. It is no longer in the hard copies because it's more than 10 years ago, but you can get it on from Amazon or Kindle in online. Yeah, but today I'm going to talk about a special captain called Captain Lau. He is a Singaporean Chinese captain, no nonsense captain. Um, I did a flight with him once to Australia, to Sydney. We transit in Sydney and then we adjourn from Sydney to Melbourne. It's a night flight. And during the night flight, a passenger called me and asked me, why are your pilots, the captain and the first officer, walking around and not being in the cockpit? Now, so who the hell flies the plane? He asked me. I said, no, sir, it cannot be. Perhaps you saw the first officer or the captain, but not both at the same time in the cabin. So he was mad with me. He said, you better go and tell your captain to come and apologize to me. Otherwise, I'll report him to the chairman of your company, whom I know. He said. So I told Captain Lau what this guy said. Captain Lau said, okay, I will deal with him later on. So by the time when we land at Sydney, Captain Lau instructed the station manager at Sydney to get the baggage of this passenger and his wife, both of them, off the plane. They are in transit. They were in transit to Melbourne. So Captain Lau doesn't want them to be on the flight from Sydney to Melbourne. So the station manager was shocked. You can't just throw a passenger out like that. So Captain Lau said, look, this is my instruction. You just do what I have told you. So the passenger was shocked and he pleaded with the captain. His wife was crying in tears because they want to go to Melbourne. But the captain said, no, you have undermined the confidence of the other passengers in me by stating that me and my co-pilots were not flying the plane. And this is a very dangerous thing. So anyway, the story ends there. This is what Captain Lau did to the passenger. He was gutsy. Very few captains would dare to do that. I was on the flight, so I knew about this story. There was another flight. I was not on that flight, but I heard a story about Captain Lau again. It was in Hong Kong. Captain Lau and his first officer, incidentally, they were operating the Jumbo B747, even on that Sydney flight. And this plane was on the ground in Hong Kong, and Captain Lau and his first officer boarded this transit flight, and there were transit passengers on board the flight on ground in Hong Kong, I think going to maybe Tokyo or somewhere. And when Captain Lau and his first officer boarded the plane, a Caucasian passenger was, you know, he was kind of disappointed and he shouted at the captain and the first officer, oh no, another bloody chink. You know, chink is a very, very bad word. It's an insulting word. Because he's Chinese, captain is Chinese, so he felt very insulted, you see. Let me just briefly tell you what a chink means. C-H-I-N-K. Chink is an English language ethnic slur usually referring to a person of Chinese descent. So it is a slur against the Chinese people. So Captain Lau was furious. He turned around and looked at the Caucasian passenger and said, "You there, get out of my plane." Well, he, the captain called for the security and they arrived and they took this passenger off the plane. So don't try to be a racist with Captain Lau. He is a no-nonsense captain and I like his style. He's good. He has retired and I don't see him. The last time I saw him was some years ago. He was drinking at one of the clubs. But anyway, it is real. Those two stories are real. I've got more stories. Maybe later on, I'll come back to you.